When enumerating the league's elite three-point marksman, the unquestioned top dog is Steph Curry. He's not just the GOAT, he's still the best shooter in the league by nearly every conceivable metric. But if you ask 100 average fans on the street, who would they place second? Klay Thompson would get a shout. Maybe Paul George, Luka, Buddy Hield, Grayson Allen, or Kevin Durant. All are respectable answers, but if we're looking purely at the numbers, Donte DiVincenzo has a powerful argument. DiVincenzo has always been regarded as a great shooter. However, with the Knicks, he became part of the elite. DiVincenzo broke New York's franchise record for most threes in a season with 283 shots made. With that, he ended up as third in three-pointers last season, trailing only Luka Doncic and Steph Curry, who are also the only ones who finished above Donte in number of attempts. DiVincenzo is one of the most prolific corner shooters in the NBA. On the left corner, where Brunson and Randall's left-handed drives help draw the attention from the defense for the kickout, Donte is third at three-pointers made with a percentage of 41.5%. On the other side, he finished the season in fourth place in the same category with a ridiculous shooting of 52%. Even though the Knicks ranked 29th in total assists last season, 92% of DiVincenzo's three-pointers were assisted. That is why he finished second in catch-and-shoot makes and attempts per game, with 9 of his 15 points average coming from this singular type of shot. Donte was vital to the Knicks last season, but I had no idea he was that vital. He has been absolutely engulfed in flames and taken things to a higher new level. His previous career high in three-pointers made was in 2022-23 season with 150 shots. He made 283 last season. That's an impressive jump, all while shooting 40%. He suddenly became a hyper-elite, hyper-high-volume three-point shooter. When grading shooters, volume matters at least as much as accuracy. If a player shoots 50% on threes but only attempts 2 per game, they aren't putting up enough to make a meaningful difference. And even if they're trying a huge number of long balls per possession or per minute, there's no guarantee they could scale up without losing precision. It's hard to launch a large number of shots accurately. Only 10 players shot at least 8 three-pointers per game last season. After establishing that baseline level of attempts and sorted by three-point attempts per 100 possessions, DiVincenzo is only behind Curry in normalized volume and is the third most accurate shooter on the list, and he puts up a full 20% more threes per 100 possessions than second-place CJ McCollum. Based on these numbers, DiVincenzo had the league's best non-Curry combination of volume and accuracy last season. But that's not the whole story. Calling Donte the second-best shooter in the league doesn't quite hold up under scrutiny, as the degree of difficulty of his shots drags him down a little bit, but not as much as you might think. The NBA has a shot dashboard that categorizes shots by how close the defender is when the ball is released. Shots with the defender 0 to 2 feet away or of very tight coverage essentially never happen. If a defender is that on top of a player, they can't get the shot up. It will not blow your mind to learn that the more open a shot, the more accurate most shooters become. Curry shot 2 attempts per game against tight coverage and hit 35%. DiVincenzo, by contrast, attempted less than 1 shot per game and shot just 24%. A greater share of DiVincenzo's attempts were considered open or very open than players like Steph, Luka, or Klay. On a related note, most of DiVincenzo's long balls are catch-and-shoot attempts, and more than 90% of his triples were assisted. Curry, Doncic, and more well-rounded superstars shoot a much higher share of triples as pull-ups off the dribble self-generated shots. Pull-ups are more difficult shots than catch-and-shoots because defenders are usually closer and more alert when a player already has the ball. But Donte shot 38% on his pull-up attempts, the same as Curry or Doncic, though on significantly lower volume. He certainly isn't capable of creating and making those shots so often. He's not in their league on pull-ups, and my earlier warning about ramping up volume at the expense of accuracy applies here. But it's not a weakness in his game. I wonder what he'd look like if given more room for self-creation from behind the arc. We don't have to wonder about DiVincenzo as a catch-and-shoot maestro. Perhaps his argument as the second-best shooter in the league loses steam over the lack of pull-ups, but the Big Ragu just turned in what was almost certainly the greatest catch-and-shoot stretch ever after last season's All-Star break. Firmly entrenched as a starter and with a rise in minutes, DiVincenzo launched an astonishing over 9.5 catch-and-shoot threes per game, nailing over 40%. The biggest per-game volume ever for a full season was Klay Thompson in 2022-23 season with 7.8 per game. Nobody has ever had a post-All-Star stretch approaching DiVincenzo's volume, much less his combination of volume and accuracy. I can't say for 100% sure that nobody has ever had that kind of run over any random 27-game stretch, but I'd bet against it. It is not easy to get off that many catch-and-shoots. You have to work for it. For the NBA's nifty tracking data, DiVincenzo ran 1.56 miles per game on offense post-All-Star break, third most in the league. He got some up in transition, where he averaged 1.5 triples per game for the entire season. The Knicks also like to use him in dribble handoff actions, where he used fake cuts and jukes to manufacture space for a clean look behind Isaiah Hartenstein's action hero body. Aside from the dribble handoffs, Dante doesn't use too many off-ball screens. Instead, he has a knack for sliding along the perimeter in the defense creases, anticipating where his teammates' drives will take them. Plenty of shooters know how to make space for themselves, but few are better at making space for the pass. Although he got up shots from all around the arc, he was hotter from the starboard side of the court. He shot 46% from the right shoulder and 52% from the right corner. His preference for the right side works wonders with the Knicks' sinistral ball handlers. The Knicks were 7th in team drives per game this year. Their entire offensive philosophy is built upon getting into the paint and making plays happen from there. The monster trade for Mikal Bridges sets in stone a starting lineup of Brunson, Bridges, OG, Randle, and Robinson, with Josh Hart and DiVincenzo as high-minute backups. As good as Bridges is as a two-way player, it's hard to imagine he'll be a better offensive fit next to Brunson and Randle than DiVincenzo, although the defensive upgrade should be worth it. If the team were to move Randle, DiVincenzo could resume a starting role, but that might leave the team too light on creation. However, nobody else on the team is the kind of catch-and-shoot artist that DiVincenzo is. While Bridges and OG are good three-point shooters, they don't have Dante's hair trigger. Randle and Brunson are far more likely to pull up than work the floor for a catch-and-shoot. The Knicks might not need DiVincenzo to put up 15 threes every night, but I think they'll miss his shooting in the starting group more than they realize. The Brunson-Randle-OG DiVincenzo quartet outscored opponents by plus 20.3 points per 100 possessions, a staggering figure that ranked in the 99th percentile for all lineups. DiVincenzo will never have a shooting stretch like he did last season again. Back on the bench and surrounded by a healthier and more talented supporting cast, DiVincenzo will find his role significantly reduced. It's up to Coach Thibodeau to ensure it's not reduced too much. Perhaps he can be an early sub for Bridges, giving Bridges control of the second unit. These are solvable problems if New York chooses to solve them. The Knicks know they can rely upon DiVincenzo. Whether they will or not remains to be seen.